What is up, guys, and welcome back to part 11 of this F1 2016 career mode. If you've missed the previous 10 episodes, then you can click the little card annotation in the top right hand corner of your screen right now to pretty much catch up with everything that's happened over the course of the season so far. And it's been a pretty decent season for us. Obviously, you know, if you haven't already checked out, quickly go do that now before I go spoil it. But so far this season, we've had some really fantastic results. We've had 2 podiums in Azerbaijan and in Austria. Then we had a 4th place in Britain. Obviously, we had it on expert at the Australian, Bahrain, Chinese Grand Prix. So those races don't really count, but we did get good results in both Australia and China. Then we switched on to legend difficulty from Russia onwards, and we managed to carry on the momentum and the R&D development of our car across the season so far to sort of get some good results. You know, we've got 2 podiums so far this season. We've got 1 4th place. I think we've got a 5th or a 6th somewhere like in Russia. So it's been a really, really good season so far for us, and hopefully we can carry on in today's race, of course, in the Hungarian Grand Prix. Now, this track, you know, I'm not too sure about it. You know, it's not one of my best tracks, and it's not one of the car's best tracks either. We haven't really upgraded the downforce too much, so we are probably going to struggle quite a bit at today's race. So we just got to watch out for that and just sort of see. Don't expect really an amazing result from us, but we'll try and do our best anyway as we head over to Chris, who's got some information on some R&D for us.
Hey, good to see you again. The factory sent over the parts that were looking good on the rig. They're being fitted as we speak. Have a look at the report.
So we upgraded a few bits and pieces on the car after last time out's British Grand Prix. So we decided to upgrade the chassis weight on our car. So we should have dropped some weight from that. 6 kilograms. There we go. So that's what we dropped off the weight of our car, which is really, really good news. And hopefully that will help us maybe on the downforce side of the car. But we've reset the driver rivalry against Felipe Massa. McLaren and Honda have upgraded their car, and so have Toro Rosso. So expect both of those teams to be relatively close to us in the R&D race, which they are. Toro Rosso have jumped up above us, and we have jumped up above Williams, and McLaren and Honda have jumped up above them as well. So it's quite close between our 4 teams, and then Haas are quite far away, and so are Red Bull. So we don't really need to worry about those guys. But that's pretty much it. We're not gonna have enough resource points to upgrade our car any further at this race weekend. So let's just head into practice for the Hungarian Grand Prix.
Welcome to Budapest as we prepare for the start of the Hungarian Grand Prix. The teams are just getting their cars ready to go out for today's practice session, so we'll be straight to the action shortly.
Here we are then, just going over our first couple of laps in this practice session, just getting through the track acclimatization on the objectives for this session. Coming down towards the line, DRS open, and what is the score going to be? Is it enough for purple? Yes, it is, 415 points, and that is good enough for purple in the track acclimatization. But once again, that was pretty much it in practice. Unfortunately, we couldn't beat the tyre management, nor could we beat the qualifying pace objective either. So we could only really get the resource points on upgrading from the track acclimatization, which is really, really disappointing because it's not a lot of points, and that is a lot of resource points dropped so far in this race weekend. So we'll be hoping to improve on that as the session goes on, but that time was only good enough for 14th for 124.3. And that was set on the super soft tyres, whereas everyone else was on the soft and the mediums. So that's not looking good as we head into the qualifying session. So hopefully we can improve on that and possibly get into Q3. But if we can get into Q2, that would be pretty good based on the qualifying sessions that we have had in the last couple of races. But without any further ado, let's head over to qualifying.
The excitement is starting to build here at the Hungaro Ring as the lights are about to go green for today's qualifying session. We expect some cars out on track any moment now.
Here we are then in the first qualifying session of the race weekend. Now we should be able to get into Q2 quite easily, so we're not really going to push too hard. We're just going to go out on the super soft tyres, probably set 1 lap, and just really hope to try and get in. I think we're going to do it right at the end of the session, so that's what we're going to pop over to now. And here we are, ending that lap here in this qualifying session. Going around the final corner, down towards the line. So far, we have set a lap time already of a 123.8. But coming across the line, this lap time is good enough for 14th position, not 8th position, 14th position, and that gets us straight into Q2 very, very easily indeed. So that's a good result. Up into P14, into Q2. Jolyon Palmer up into P3, so great result for him. He'll be trying to get into Q3 as well. But here we go, into Q2 for the first time in actually quite a while in this season. And here we are on our final lap in that qualifying 2 session. We are currently in the drop zone, currently in 13th position, but coming down towards the line, it is going to be an improvement. What is the time going to be good enough for? Is it into Q3? And yes, it is P9. Fantastic result here at the Hungarian Grand Prix to get into P9 and into Q3 for the first time, I think, maybe since the Russian Grand Prix. That was the last time we got into Q3. No, Monaco. Monaco was the last time that we got into Q3. So a fantastic result for us to get into Q3 once again and really starting to perform where the car should be in qualifying. So that is a fantastic result. And let's see where we are going to place in the top 10 shootout. Here we are then, coming around the final corner. It is very wet out on track in this Q3 session, but down towards the line, we've got a guy right behind us at the moment. It's a Red Bull of, I think, Max Verstappen. Down towards the line, what is the time going to be good for? It's not good enough for pole position, but it is good enough for 9th. So exactly the same as Q2 there, but not too bad. 9th position on the grid is a fantastic place to start from. Unfortunately, it's not 7th place, and that's what the team wanted, but 9th place, we can still be very, very happy about that and hopefully try and improve as the race goes on. But Kimi Räikkönen, he gets pole position with Sebastian Vettel in 2nd, Nico Rosberg 3rd, Daniel Ricciardo lines up on the grid in 4th with Lewis Hamilton in 5th, Max Verstappen in 5th, Jenson Button starts in 9th with Danny Kvyat alongside him in 8th. I'm in 9th with Valtteri Bottas right next to me. But that is it for today's qualifying session. Let's head into the race.
We've seen some astonishing Grand Prix here over the years, haven't we? The drama of 2015 is a recent example. Jenson Button's first win on a wet track in 2006, or in 1997, Damon Hill's heartbreak in the Arrows after a late gearbox failure cost him what would have been the team's only ever victory. What a wonderful place this is to come racing today. Located 12 miles northeast of the Hungarian capital Budapest, the 14 corners of the Hungaroring are steeped in history and prestige. Overtaking has always been difficult on this technical 2.7-mile circuit, but the last few years in particular have turned up some exceptional races. Let's hope we're in for another one here today. With me to enjoy it all is Anthony Davidson, a man who made his Grand Prix debut here with Minardi back in 2002. So, Ant, this is a bit of a special one for you, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I'd say so. I also stood in to commentate on Jenson's win in 2006, and as I was a test driver for Honda at the time, you can imagine that was quite an emotional Grand Prix. It's also a tough circuit on the drivers, this one too. Lots of long, slow corners that require a lot of patience from inside the car. Plus, it's a very downforce heavy circuit. I mean, it's all relative, of course, but if you're lacking a bit in downforce, or if you've got a bit of an imbalance in the setup, this is definitely one of the worst places to have to deal with that.
Top 7 finish is what we're predicting for today's race.
It's race day here at the Hungarian Grand Prix, starting in 9th position on the grid after a fantastic qualifying session, getting into Q3 for the first time since the Monaco Grand Prix. So it's an absolutely fantastic result, and we'll be looking to try and do better in today's race. So here we go, looking at the race strategy for today's race, starting on the super soft tyres, pitting for the mediums, and then going onto the softs at the end of the race. So we're going to try a sort of one stop less strategy than everyone else is going for. I think they're going to go for the 3-stop strategy. So we're going to go for the 2-stop and try and get track position and maybe try and see if we can lead the race like we did in the previous races like Austria and Azerbaijan. So that's what we're going to try and do. It seemed to work for us in the last couple of races, so hopefully it can do the same here today. But here we go, getting underway for our formation lap, down towards the turn 1 as everyone starts to get away. And here we go, just getting away a little bit late compared to Danny Kvyat, but here we go, just getting on with our normal procedure, weaving the tyres, weaving the wheel to warm up the tyres, and in a minute we'll start warming up the brakes as well as we start getting down into the corner. So that's what we're going to do, just set up our normal procedure and head back to the starting grid. Here we are then on the starting grid for the Hungarian Grand Prix as the lights start to come on. It's 5 red lights. Lights out and away we go for the Hungarian Grand Prix. It's a good start compared to the Toro Rosso of Danny Kvyat. We've already got the jump on him, going up into 8th position, 9th position now. Danny Kvyat gets a secondary sort of good start there from the Toro Rosso. Just trying to squeeze a gap in between both him and Jenson Button. Max Verstappen going very, very slowly on the exit of turn 1. Unfortunately, that has lost me the position to the Williams of Valtteri Bottas. But we're going to see if we can get a move maybe round the outside, down in towards turn 2. No, he just squeezes us out there. Doesn't really give us a lot of room to go around the outside. And we're just going to have to settle for P10 for the time being. But having a little look up the inside of Jenson Button there, he weaves us, he gives us a little flick on the rear end, and we just have to sort of yield position. Still side by side though, through the fast left-hander. Still side by side with Jenson Button, but finally he's got the move done. He is up into P9. We're just going to have to settle in P10 for the time being. So far, not the best of starts in today's race, but we'll be looking to maybe try and get past them in the corners. Brake later than the AI and see if we can get past a few of the guys ahead of us. But right now we're under pressure from Felipe Massa, who's right behind us on the end of lap 1, starting lap 2 as we go through the right-hander of the final corner. Felipe Massa trying to sort of sort out a move for himself down this long start-finish straight. Here he goes, following in the slipstream. DRS not activated for another lap, but going down in towards turn 1. He's got the inside line. Can he get the move done? We're going to try and hold it round the outside. Maybe try a cutback move on the Williams driver, losing the back end there through turn 1, and unfortunately just having to give up on the position to Felipe Massa for the time being. Maybe have a little dive bomb up the inside. No, we don't, as we cut ahead to the next lap. So we've now got Nico Hulkenberg right behind us on track. So will he be going for a move down in towards turn 1? Yes, he is. He's pulling over to the right-hand side. We're just going to have to hold it on the outside once again. We've learned from the mistakes that we made on Felipe Massa, as now we try and hold it around the outside instead of doing the cutback move. But no, he squeezed us out on the curb there. We don't get the best of traction. And unfortunately, that's lost us position to Felipe Massa. Not Felipe Massa, Sergio Perez as well. So Sergio Perez is up, but then we managed to get back past him through turn 3, in towards turn 4 now. Oh, there's a little touch there from Sergio Perez, who hits the barrier, comes back onto the track, and there's a big crash down in towards turn 4. Sergio Perez definitely causing that, going into the wall and then cutting back across the track. Let's have a look on board with Rio Haryanto. Just goes straight into the back of Sergio Perez, and then they collect it, Alonso, and then the Haas actually flies into the air there. So the Haas actually getting destroyed and somehow not actually losing any of his front wings. So very, very lucky for Roman Grosjean. But there's Rio Haryanto just getting collected by Sergio Perez. Very, very disappointing for him. On board with Fernando Alonso. So you can see Rio Haryanto goes into the side of him. Sergio Perez still spinning, and he collects Fernando Alonso. And now on board with the flying Roman Grosjean, going down in towards turn 5. He just goes straight into the side of Sergio Perez. Nowhere else for him to go. And unfortunately that sends him into the air. But very, very luckily for him, he doesn't actually have any front wing damage. So we're watching on board with Carlos Sainz, who goes for a little move up the inside in towards the penultimate corner. Gets put into a spin by myself. And that unfortunately pushes me wide. Now I've lost position to Jolyon Palmer, Felipe Nasr, and Marcus Ericsson. But now Pascal Wehrlein is right on our gearbox. He'll probably be having a look down in towards turn 1, maybe trying to go for a move, as we're watching on board with the Manor driver. But he gives up on the position. We go up the inside of Marcus Ericsson. Can we get the move done on the Sauber driver? It's side by side down in towards turn 2. Still Marcus Ericsson holding that inside line. There he is, still holding the inside line down in towards turn 2. Can we get the job done around the outside? Going side by side in towards turn 3 once again. And Marcus Ericsson giving up the position, then actually collecting the other Hasselhoff, which I think is Esteban Gutierrez, as we cut ahead to the next lap. Pascal Wehrlein once again on the rear end of our Renault. So will Pascal Wehrlein be able to get the job done? He's so much quicker than us in a straight line. Going down in towards turn 1, side by side with the Manor driver, who's going to come out on top. We're going to brake late round the outside. Looks like we've held it for the time being. No, we've locked up, run it wide, a little bit of a slide as well, and it looks like Pascal Wehrlein has got the job done, and unfortunately has got past us for what I believe is for 13th position. Yes, it is. We're down to 14th in this race, and it's only lap 5, so we've gone all the way from 9th down to 14th in the space of 5 laps, which is really, really disappointing. Then we lose the back end coming out of turn 3, and that's an easy move for Marcus Ericsson to get up into P14. Now we're down into P15, so it's a really, really disappointing race for us so far. We are coming back at the Sauber driver, who squeezes us onto the grass there in towards turn 6. And unfortunately, we're just going to have to yield position, as I don't think we'll be able to get the move done in towards these next couple of corners, just because it's so tight around here. It's being compared to Monaco without the barriers. But we're so close on the back of Marcus Ericsson that we might be able to shape up a move maybe down this next straight or in towards turn 1. And just going through the next couple of corners, taking a lot of the track there, actually taking more of the track, actually running wide quite a lot and cutting a lot of corners. But unfortunately not able to get past Marcus Ericsson. We're cutting ahead to the end of lap 6, start to lap 7, as we make our first pit stop in this race to get rid of those super soft tyres and move on to a fresh set of mediums, which we will take for quite a long time, up to probably about lap 20 in this race. So we're going to take these tyres for a long, long time and maybe see if we can get quite a lot of position, because so far this race isn't exactly going to plan. And if we can get some good positions on these medium tyres, then maybe our race will come back to us. But here we go, X in the pit lane, down in 18th position. Jenson Button has got ahead of us now, and it's only Esteban Gutierrez which is behind us on track, which is really, really disappointing. We're watching on board with Jolyon Palmer, who has an engine failure. That is the first time this season that Renault has had an engine failure, and that's very, very disappointing for my teammate Jolyon Palmer, who wasn't actually having too bad of a race, and he could once again possibly get into the points. But Unfortunately, that's not going to happen today as we're on board with Romain Grosjean going for the move. He must have pitted in the race. We're now up into P16. And unfortunately, there we've lost out to Romain Grosjean going down in towards turn 1 now. Will we be able to get back up into the braking zone? Yes, we can. Up the inside of Romain Grosjean, and there we are, up into P15 once again. It looks like the job's done as Romain Grosjean just sort of backs out of it. He doesn't try and hold it down towards turn 2, and there we go, job done, and up into P15, hunting down Jenson Button. But unfortunately, we haven't got the job done on him as we're now back under pressure from the Haas driver of Romain Grosjean, who gets the job done up the inside in towards turn 1. We're going to try and hold it around the outside this time, later on the brakes than Romain Grosjean, trying to hold it around the outside, but unfortunately not going to happen. That's great straight line speed from the Haas car, and we unfortunately just can't deal with the other guys on this track at the moment. Really, really struggling at this Hungarian Grand Prix, and I just don't know what's happening. We had such great pace in qualifying, but in the race I just felt the back end going so much, and it was really, really frustrating me, as every time I tried to put a little bit of power down on the track, the back end would slip away from me, and there we go. You could just see a little twitch there, and that was just a normal corner for me. Just a little twitch like that. You know, every other corner was a lot bigger than that one, and unfortunately we just couldn't get past Carlos Sainz after he came out of the pits. We're up into P14 at the moment, so we have made a couple of positions, but we're still out of the points. We need to start getting points finishes, especially as we've already scored points this season. So that is what we need to do as the season goes on. Now cutting head to lap 24, nothing happening, no overtakes, not really getting overtaken either, and yeah, just coming into the pit lane for our second stop in this race, and our final pit stop as we will go onto soft tyres and try and make them last the last 10 laps of this race. So far I've made medium tyres the last 20 laps, which was really, really good stint for us. And coming into the pit lane, new set of tyres, and it looks like a slow stop at the moment, held up a little bit there by the Sauber, but a 4.398 second stop, not very good there from the Renault team, and I will be expecting better in the next race in the German Grand Prix. But coming out of the pit lane in P17, Fernando Alonso ahead of us in 16th place, and this race is an absolute disaster at the moment. Really, really not happy with how this race has gone, and we're cutting ahead to lap 32 right now. We've been lapped by Kimi Räikkönen, who is currently out ahead of us. There you go, just the back end twitching away from us. That happened all race long, and it was really, really annoying. Here we go through the left-hander of turn 5, getting it onto the curb, and unfortunately putting the car into the barrier. And that is our first DNF of the season. Really, really frustrating for us. Let's have a look at a replay of what happened from an off-board view. Through the left-hander of turn 5, just getting it onto the curb, losing the back end, putting it into the wall. And unfortunately, that is our race over. So there we go, our first retirement of the season. And that is a very, very disappointing race from us.
So, another excellent win from Ferrari. Anthony, what do you think made the difference here?
The difference was clearly in the strategy. You could tell they'd done a lot of work on the pit wall to really optimise each stint and get the most out of the tyres. And it highlights just how much of a team sport this really is. But credit to the driver as well, though. There's no good having a well-oiled machine behind the scenes without a talented hand on the wheel, of course.
And as we can see, it's time for the podium, and as the drivers make their way out, there's a familiar red suit making its way to the top step. Fantastic win for Ferrari.
Not a very good race from us here today, you know, after getting some really good results in like Austria, Azerbaijan, getting podiums and then getting a 4th place in Britain, to then come here and get a DNF. It's really, really disappointing, really, really frustrating. I just wasn't feeling the car today, you know, with the back end all over the place. And despite crashing out, at least we weren't in a points position. If we were in a high scoring points position to crash out, I would have been really, really frustrated. But we were down in, I think, 14th or 15th place in this race to then crash out afterwards, and it wasn't really too bad for us. Although there were only 3 laps to go, and I would have liked to have made it to the end, but unfortunately we lost the back end, put it into the wall, and that was our race over. So there we are, right to the back of the field, and all the other guys around are scoring some decent points. So yeah, unfortunately losing out just a little bit in the championship. Let's just have a look at how it affects us in the championship. And we're still in 6th place, though. We are still in 6th place in the drivers' standings. We've still quite a big margin ahead of Carlos Sainz. I don't think he scored many points here today. Daniel Ricciardo on the exact same amount of points as Carlos Sainz on 49. And Valtteri Bottas also closing in. Felipe Massa closing in as well. And yeah, so we are still in 6th place, which is really, really positive. Sebastian Vettel has now overtaken Lewis Hamilton and now leads the Drivers' Championship. Lewis Hamilton on the exact same amount of points as his teammate Nico Rosberg. So the 3 of those guys really battling hard for this Drivers' World Championship. And Kimi Räikkönen, after getting a race win here today, is now equal on points with, not equal on points, he's 50 points behind Sebastian Vettel in the championship. But let's have a look at how this affects us in the Constructors. And we are still in 5th position in the Constructors, but we're only 2 points ahead of Williams, and we've lost out a couple of points to Toro Rosso. They're now 11 points ahead of us in the Constructors' Championship. So we will be looking to try and catch up to them once again at the German Grand Prix, and hopefully try and get away from Williams as well, because we don't want to lose that 5th position to Williams. Otherwise, that'll be really, really frustrating, especially as they are so far behind us in the research and development race, with Toro Rosso jumping above us. That's kind of expected. And we expect McLaren to probably get in the battle with Haas and Sahara Force India as well. I'm really surprised that Force and India have the points that they have at the moment, especially as they are so far down the research and development race. So that is really, really surprising. But that is it for today's Hungarian Grand Prix, and let's head back to the menus. So having a look at the rivalry update after today's Hungarian Grand Prix, and Felipe Massa probably did absolutely destroy us in this race. No, we actually did have the fastest Sector 2 and Sector 3, so that actually did help. So we're still 9-6 at the moment in the rivalry. I don't think we expect to find a winner until the Italian Grand Prix. No research. Actually, no, we do have some resource points going into the next couple of races. We might actually upgrade the drag on our car at this race. I'm not too sure. I would have preferred to maybe upgrade the engine, but heading into tracks like Belgium and Italy, I'm not too sure. Maybe upgrading the drag on our car would be a really, really good idea, especially with those tracks which are so fast and have very, very long straights. And we actually do decide to do that. We decide to upgrade the drag on our car, and that won't put us above Toro Rosso. I don't think it might do, but I don't think it will put us above Toro Rosso in the research and development race. But if it does, that'd be absolutely fantastic. And just having a look at the sort of progress of our research and development over the season so far, so you can just see the different coloured lines and what we have sort of upgraded. So we've mainly focused on drag and engine power, and of course chassis weight as well. So those are the main things that we've sort of focused on in this season. But that is it for today's race. If you have enjoyed the episode, don't forget to smash that like button. Also, subscribe to my channel if you are new around here. We've had so much Formula 1 content over the previous week, and that will continue into the next week. Of course, this career mode will be every single day as well. So if you don't want to miss this career mode, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, and you never have to miss a video from me. But I will see you next time at the German Grand Prix. Until then, though, it's goodbye from me.